first big trials for Marmalade as an IGL specifically. They've gone against unstructured teams on unstructured maps. But LiViD has always been a team that is historically on the far side of rigid. So do you think, based on what we've seen, that Nocturnes could still pull it out despite this test?
It'll be a worthy one to see because more than yeah, like you said, we've seen them play Chalet. Well, they talking about the Deaths. They've seen them play Chalet, play Coastline, play very fluid maps where, well, at the same time, if Marmalade is doing well in those fluid maps, in those hard, decisive moments where you have to make a decision, wouldn't it be easier for her at this point to make decisions in this kind of slow, rigid play style that we see from LiViD?
Well, it does depend, but also another point brought up on the desk is that this is a map that is structured a little bit more than, say, a map like Kafe, or than a map like Oregon. But it does provide a lot of avenues for the attack that they can realize. Much more verticality as opposed to Oregon, so that could actually embolden LiViD to make some decisions on their attack that they otherwise would not have been able to. But as the ban phase has begun and ended, and it's pretty much what you would expect on Kafe. Thatcher and Nomad were very common bans a bit early on. We've started to see a hard breacher a little bit more often, but Thatcher and Nomad is still pretty common for the map. Mira Wamai as well, not only common for the game as a whole, but especially for a map like Kafe. When you're trying to clear out positions like Pixel, getting that Wamai off the board is really good for your attacking team. And trying to go against a Mira on Kafe on any side at all, not having her on the board is something that is going to greatly help Nocturnes starting out.
Yeah, we've seen too many maps where mirrors left up and how difficult it is for teams to get past those mirrors on any floor, really. You can put a mirror on a lot of these sites and you can just cause teams to waste time, waste utility trying to deal with that mirror in the first place. But let us see what happens here first. Nocturnes on the attack first, and they're talking to the desk. If they can get like a 2-4 half on their attack, it's still looking pretty good for Nocturnes. I'm definitely going to be interested to see how Marmalade does on that IGL role in this map rather than playing on Coastline or Chalet. But for this defense first, though, what does LiViD have in store? Looking from the lineup, though, it looks like they're going to be roaming. They're going to be trying to waste as much time as possible on the second or third floor. That mute Mossy Vigil combo as per usual, really.
Yeah, pretty standard lineup on all sides of this engagement. Of course, the attacking lineup has been fairly rigid for the time being. You always have that Zofia and Yana. Usually a hard breacher. If Hibana's up, probably Hibana. Sledge as well for soft destruction. And then you have that final spot that sometimes the Nomad, sometimes if she's banned, it's a Lion. Sometimes if you're Wichita Wolves, it's always a Lion in the case of Mohes. In this case, right now, Exot is taking up the mantle of that Lion. And he will be pretty useful on this map, especially trying to clear out the roam of LiViD, trying to nail down players like Whitlock, stop the rotation back to site, and forcing them in a position where they can be pinched and cut off. That line is going to be very important for Nocturnes if LiViD continue to get aggressive and extend on that roam. Or starting out here, as you said, Benitez Kitchen, so if LiViD have decided to extend, they're going to be pretty far flung from the site and have to be careful about how far they have to rotate back down.
So the interesting part is going to be whether or not Nocturnes, are they going, well, LiViD, are they going to play for the lives, or are they going to back off at the second point, and whether or not Nocturnes can create those cutoffs and get kills, or is it going to be the simple, hey, we push them back, we've, at least pushed the robots back downstairs, but we've wasted time utility, which is, I'm assuming, what LiViD's going for at this point, unless they're going to play for their lives, because you see two people upstairs. Both the Vigil and the Mozzie of Zeno and Whitlock are waiting and ready to take fights here. Looks like Whitlock's been playing that Christmas side over here, piano here, and looking for a kill onto be Psych to start us off. Well, he's got the backup of Zeno over by White Stairs, and we already see those members like Exots on the White Stair window to try and cut off, but I'm assuming they already have a hatch open. Like Zeno jumps down that hatch over in Laundry, so they're backing off mode, but Whitlock does get cut off by Exot on the White Stairs window, and those are the cutoffs that are important, so they can try and get these kills. Lackey with the other one, Zeno, and that's exactly what we're talking about the start of round off, but Mikey's there at least to try and blue frag.
Losing Lackey does suck a little bit, but that's exactly what we needed to see from Nocturne's roam clear. Benny, I don't even believe they used an EE1D to clear that out. That was just sheer positioning and coordination from Nocturnes. They have Exot on that white window. Whitlock, since he's pushed so far up into Pixel with players coming from both Cigar and having his cutoff on white window, rotating out was a near impossibility at that point without him taking a fight. Zeno as well, that's another example of just how well that coordination goes. He managed to get away, but not before he was punished. Thankfully, you have Mikey finally back on the keyboard going off for his team. He's got 2 kills so far. Both the entries for Nocturnes, Lackey and Sykes taken off the board. Not only is that important utility, but those are the 2 players that have been making it happen for Nocturnes in this season so far. And of course, now that he's rotated back to site, and Nocturnes are a little bit low on time when it comes to opening things up above the site, and low on manpower to rotate back down, it's looking like it might be in LiViD's hands with both the smoke canisters and the C4 they still have to use.
Let's see if they can get anything off this vertical destruction. They're trying to find one player. Looks like there was one, maybe Karn. Karn playing the smoke was on site, but looks like they're rotating towards that bakery side, using those X-Cows to open up onto site. Looks like they're going to push through off the E1D. See if they can take control of bakery. Nobody's here. LiViD's all playing back for the moment because they know time is on their side. At this point, Nocturnes have to make the play happen. Can they get this wall open? Are they even going to try? Or are they just going to push through the doorways? But great grenade from FICO and Indy. It makes it even more possible. Karn has 2 smokes left. There's no C4, so there's some way of stopping them pushing in, but not a lot. E1D is going to be crucial here for Nox to push in. Exod looking through left and right, trying to find somebody. He's the head of Karn. Mikey's at attack 2, actually, not just 1, a quad. Can he get the ace? It's a 1v1, but no, the ace isn't even there. It's time. It's on their side as they win that round.
That was extremely well played by Mikey in that round overall, but also well played by Nocturnes throughout. They got that roam clear early on, and then you have Mikey on bottom white, able to deal with both of the entries from Nocturnes. Excellent play by him. But this is where Nocturnes are in a really risky spot. They have 20 seconds left, and they make the decision to open up Bakery Wall. While they're very low on time, it is Hibana. You can open it up, and then once you move in the wall quickly, since there's also Exod close by, it is very risky, but I still like the decision overall, even though it took a bit of time. And since Exod still has EE1Ds, they're able to make that rush into site work to freeze the members inside of Bakery. And also, now that they know that there's no more player in coat check, they can push in pretty safely, knowing that there is at least one on the site. And once Exod gets that kill, it's looking really good. But they never dealt with Mikey because of the way they decided to set that up. And the men they lost early on, being Lackey and Sykes, they had FICO above, watching the vertical angle. But then they had Exod on the horizontal as the coverage. If Mikey's in a spot that FICO isn't watching, Exod has to win his fight. And since he didn't, there's nobody really left that can effectively cover Marmalade on the plant. That's exactly how that round crumbled. It was a good adaptation by Nocturnes, but overall, it was the individual play from Mikey that really put that round in LiViD's hands.
I'm about to say they would win the round if Mikey wasn't there.
That is true.
After refrag.
That is also true. I was trying to, make it see it wasn't just Mikey fragging out. It was a lot of good timing. A lot of unfortunate situations.
Definitely, I'm pretty sure
there's
some good callouts. Probably, definitely good calls from his teammates, giving him intel and telling him what's going on exactly so he can play well. But still, that was quite the round for Mikey. And well, hopefully the rest of the round isn't like that. The rest of the half isn't like that, because not like a great thing if you're relying on one player to do all the fragging. But we'll see. We go upstairs for our next site for LiViD. Onto the top floor we go, and we're gonna see how well we can see Marmalade IGL her team to victory once more, as they have to deal with this hold we usually see, this piano Christmas hold. You see, of course, they're playing that cubby inside of Cigar, so it's going to be opening up that castle barrier, getting an angle on the warden of Xeno and trying to stop him play this position if they're going to make this push happen, because they don't bring a buck, so that's what I'm assuming the play is going to be.
Right now, I like what Nocturnes are doing. They are not even really focused on Cigar right now. They likely will at some point. This is a cocktail attack. They can't just not push from Cigar. That'll be extremely difficult. But right now, they are solely focusing on clearing out Christmas and clearing out the Pixel Shield, which they've done successfully within the first minute. Now they're rotating and starting to put some focus on Xeno. Has been 1 minute and 10 seconds, and he hasn't really been dealt with or pressured in any sense of the word, but now that Lackey has dealt with that Pixel Shield, he can start rotating over and they can begin pressuring Xeno out of this position. The hatch is soft, so if Xeno wants to make a quick escape, he can aim down with a shotgun, fire one shot, and bam. He's all the way down on the second floor, and it's up to Nocturnes to cut them off if they have anybody at that angle. But right now, just continuing to focus on Christmas, not much from Nocturnes. Slowly making that progress, opening up that castle barricade, and it's momentarily, right now, the moment Exod breaks open that castle barricade, that they'll begin to push Xeno out of position.
It looks like he tried to shoot the Gon 6 underneath the Rooney laser gate, but couldn't quite get that castle barricade, so it's still there. So now at this point, Xeno's still playing his position, and they need to get rid of this castle barricade, or Xeno's just gonna have a town, a way of a town with this shotgun. But they could be. Grenade comes out. Great grenade. He's gonna back off of it though. Looks like it wasn't cooked quite enough to get that kill. So he's gonna play a position. Another grenade comes out. They don't know where his position is exactly too, so they're trying to push through. Down one. Can he get the pre-frag? Yes, they can. You know how you stop a shotgun? Just re-swing it.
Something like that, but unfortunately for Nocturnes, look at how much time has been stalled just by Xeno's mere existence. Not only have they found FICO, sure, Xeno's been taken down, but in all likelihood, if anybody's gonna die in this lineup, it's gonna be the Warden in that spot, and now LiViD have retaken the man advantage now that Sykes has fallen. Nocturnes are very short on utility to use, but importantly, while there's only 25 seconds left, they have Exod's EE1Ds to make the push into site a little bit more bearable, but they have to push in and win these fights. They are not winning the utility game anymore, and the positioning and intel is all in the favor of LiViD. No intel in their positions, no the man disadvantage, not able to facilitate and execute. That was a pretty solid round from LiViD, and understandable why they won it out, because they won it out pretty early on with how things transpired.
Yeah, not only time there, but they couldn't get rid of the castle barricade, even though they had gotten rid of the pixel shield, because the castle barricade's there and nobody had really pushed into Christmas, opening up that, wall between red and Christmas. That person in pixel can sit there and wait and just expect the push from the cigar door, from New Balk. And really at that point, yeah, it's like you said before, time was on the side of LiViD. Positioning was huge there because they hadn't really cleared anybody. They only dealt with Xeno. That's the only person they dealt with the entire round. So unfortunate for Nocturnes.
It's also ironic because look at how quickly they dealt with that pixel shield. They got on repel, broke the shield, pushed the player back inside a bathroom, all in the span of a minute. The way that if you just look at the first minute of that round, it was looking really good for Nocturnes. They had done a massive part of the attack pretty quickly. But then, as you said, the next minute that happened looked extremely good for LiViD and extremely poor for Nocturnes because of how inefficient it was with that clear of Xeno, and that castle barricade and Renegade that Exod tried to clear. That is the culprit. It allowed him to play in the position he did as aggressively as he did. Of course, as you can see, you have a timeout from Nocturnes right now, taking it extremely quickly. I'm not going to pass judgment on it, but 2 rounds in, even though they are in Kafe attack, it is one of those things where it's like, I don't know if they're losing the plot that much. I still feel. I still feel like there's
mistakes they're catching on.
Maybe
that they're trying to maybe regretting.
After all, we don't hear the comms, so there could be something going on that Dawn is talking about. But even though they have taken that timeout, they are down 2-0 on Kafe attack, and I feel like there's still a lot of salvageable things. But I also think that's good. They just want to take a moment, rein everybody back in. They're starting to lose focus. That's
I think it's the big thing is just don't let it get too far out of hand. And they're going to a different site now, going to reading where they're going to have a different plot line, like you said. So they have to be maybe on the same page. Just take it a second. Give that timeout. Sometimes it's better to use that timeout than to use it all. Because some teams just don't use it at all even. So
one for reading. For reading room, we've already seen LiViD extend pretty far up. So I imagine, well, yeah, as you can clearly see, they're just defending it in that normal way, moving into bakery, setting up those deployable shields. I wonder if we'll see them extend far into Christmas, or if we'll just see them chill on bakery side. But they're getting pretty aggressive with their setup, so they might actually go all the way into Christmas.
It looks like maybe they're at least setting up the shield, maybe at least to set up and hold for the moment and see what happens. Hard to say. But again, the question is going to be how, like you said before, how aggressive is LiViD going to be here on their defense? Are they going to really take fights, or are they just going to let Nocturnes take control of most top floor and just let them push into their play and cocktail? We see a lot of teams do this before, where they have a pre-play C4 from below when playing reading. You can try and deny that entire push from below. But we'll see what happens here as Nocturnes. They haven't changed up the lineup much though, so it should be pretty much the same as always. As we see them probably first push Christmas, see if they can get rid of Pixel, push right in, take control of Christmas, take control of New Balk, go from Cigar and push in. The question is what LiVID's going to do here. Are they going to try and stop them whatsoever on that aggress, or are they just going to let them take control and do what they do?
Right now, Nocturnes will start out on that top floor. Intel gained momentarily likely about the positions of the defense. LiViD are still hardcore running this Mutant Mozzie combo, so the intel is not going to give itself easily up to Nocturnes. They will certainly have to work for it in many areas with Thatcher Band as well. Navigating around those mute devices and Mozzie Pest, depending on where and how they're placed, is going to be extremely difficult in some areas. But now Sykes and Lackey will start to make their way on in. On top of those red stairs, Marmalade also opening up that red wall, and they've set up their beachhead. Now is where they'll start moving in. There's one player behind that pixel shield, and with all of those walls soft, it's almost reminiscent of a mirror strat, Benny. You open up those walls, play behind a black mirror, and utilize that angle, that transparent angle, one-way window, peer on through. Now, LiViD have done that same thing, just without a mirror window, but right now there is one player playing pixel, and I wonder if Nocturnes are aware of his positioning, because it doesn't appear that they are.
I would hope they understand, because I'm pretty sure Whitlock shot at drones. So they know Whitlock's playing his position. They're shooting from White Stairs window as well. So he's being cornered from one position, but nobody's pushing that Cigar side. So Whitlock's still going to sit here, as looks like they're trying to clear from below now. It looks like they have droned out Train, and nobody's playing Train, so they may have tried to just aggress onto the site from Train side. But the problem is the hatch is open. The vertical play is there for LiViD to play off of if they go straight for a plant. So I'm hoping that at this point Nocturnes aren't exactly abandoning that roam clear, at least some form of it, because they can't just push straight onto site here with the amount of open holes between sites and the vertical play. You really can't just walk in. Lackey with the first kill on Whitlock though, so there's the player in upstairs and Pixel dead.
That's what I was going to say. They need somebody up top to watch for these flanks to make sure nobody can play on that hatch. And Lackey is already having some success. FICO rotating down means that Lackey is really the only person in a position to watch the upstairs, while Exod is outside of the reading door right now, just waiting and watching to see if anybody makes a play inside of pillars as well. But now that the Alibi has managed to find a kill onto Sykes, one of those players who is entering down below is now gone. Lackey has to be aware that there's somebody running around that they have to account for. Karn fallen as well. Nocturnes retakes the man advantage, but Indy mitigates it entirely, even once again. Now, because the dining plant, they'll have to push on in. The diffuser's dropped inside the site. Thanks to Mikey, 2 rounds now. Triple kill from Indy. Exod, the only one left. 10 seconds. He's by the diffuser, but he's got to go for the kills. Not enough time or coverage to make this bomb go down. 5 seconds. Indy and Zeno have plenty of time to rotate on in. They can catch him at 000. Zeno looks just above him. Exod gets off. He saves his life, but not the round for Nocturnes. LiViD win 3 in a row.
3 in a row for LiViD in that round. It was looking like they wanted to go for a roam clear at first. It seemed like Nocturnes were prepping for it. They were pushing Cigar and taking that first step into it, but they saw that control. They saw the open holes. You know, those saw all those open holes between freezer over towards cocktail. Bathroom was open, and maybe they didn't want to quite pick a fight with that. You know, like that roam or not roam. The roam that LiViD had. So then they try to rotate into a train take. They take control train. They open the wall into it. But the big thing here is the vertical pressure. There was holes made by members of LiViD to deny people from walking in through, 90, which we saw Yanov Sykes get killed doing that. We had above players in the hatch too. Whitlock was the player playing Pixel, but at least Lackey was there to deny that. But there's still angles above, and there's still players who are on site to deny the push in. We saw Mikey with quite a great play on denying the plant from Marmalade, who had jumped right into Fireplace, trying to get that plant on the reinforced wall, but there's Mikey was there already for that kill. So it's just the fact that LiViD had the pieces in place to stop that play from happening in the first place, and Nocturnes didn't really do anything to put players in a place where they could stop that from happening in the first place. So unfortunate for Nocturnes. Well, good for LiViD, I guess. LiViD's got 3 in a row.
Well, and if there's any round that you can point to talk about, not necessarily a place that LiViD had all the pieces in place, but the most important one on lock, it was round number 1 on Kitchen, where Mikey got a 4K. The only person on his entire team to get kills in that round was Mikey. And as you can probably guess, since LiViD won, they were the 4 most impactful kills that happened at any point in that game. The first 2 came in stopping Lackey and Sykes on the entry from further gaining control down onto the first floor and setting up a position to execute onto the site. And then the next 2 kills were not the 2 that won the round. Well, they were, but they didn't end the round. Got a kill onto Exod, the coverage, and then Marmalade, who was planting the bomb inside of the site. And that was all Mikey the entire round, with likely some support from his team on cams. So this was a spot where Nocturnes, all the pieces of their attacks seemed to work. They had cutoffs on the roamers. They managed to get control early on, specifically the control of the 3rd and the 2nd floor. But it was Mikey who kept rearing his head and kept stopping the attackers. Right now, they've spotted Whitlock, just sitting completely unaware of his impending doom. They open it up once again, Exod onto Whitlock 2 times in a row, and what do you know, Benny? Mikey still has something to say about it.
Once again with the refrag, Mikey's just been stopping, or at least he's making it be painful for Nocturnes to get this first opening pick time and time again. Well, at least first and third round. Not so much this round, which is unfortunate, but so far, listen, we're getting back on that bottom floor. This is where Mikey had that 4K to win them this round, and already he's striking fear into Nocturnes. Can he keep doing so? Nocturnes at this point have to the top floor. Losing the Yana isn't a huge thing, though. There is intel and grenades off the board, but the question is, can they at least stop Mikey from doing it this round? Can they take control? It looks like they're trying to at least make sure that nobody's on that bottom floor by opening up from above, using that sledge accordingly to try and push these players back off. Do they have the cutoffs at least to try and get those kills, or is this going to be more 4v4 execute later on?
That's the issue, is Nocturnes are in a much, much worse position than they were in round number 1. Even though they ended up losing it, they still had transitioned to the 2nd floor far quicker than they did in this round in particular. Though, that being said, they are still opening it up, and that is important. If Ike was able to get these holes, and if they do transition into a 4v4 execute, if they still have some time and they have this same man advantage, it's doable. They just have to also account for the 2 C4s and 3 smoke canisters that are held by Zeno, Indy, and Carnage respectively. All 3 of which are in positions to rotate back to the site if they need to. I'm not sure on Mikey's current position. I believe he is in the site along with his team, and it's either Karn or Indy playing inside of VIP right now. But Nocturnes, they rotated the bakery last time, and Mikey is currently sitting behind the bar, anticipating this very rotate by Nocturnes. It's incumbent upon the attack to find this intel on Mikey's position, or he'll pop up from behind bakery and make something happen. Zeno will maybe get a little bit over-aggressive, knowing that prep is being opened. He'll try to rotate out, get a kill. Unfortunately, he's punished for that behavior. Mikey Mikey's also spotted out, manages to get a kill through the flash, completely blinded. He drops Diffuser outside the door, but he's still in a position where Exod can cut him off. Finds the head, but he misses the shots, unfortunately. Almost taken down, put to 1 HP. He rotates back in, but now that he's back with Karn, who still has some utility in his pocket, in the final 10 seconds, Mikey could still clutch this out, but it's going to be extremely difficult. Mikey manages to land the pre-fire. It looked like it was going to be a fourth for LiViD, but instead, it's the first round for Nocturnes on the attack.
Did Mikey only have the kills at round 2 as well?
Let me think.
Because Mikey got the first pick.
Yeah, he did.
He got the second pick.
He was the only one who had kills again.
Round.
That's
unfortunate.
He traded out.
Yeah, because the beginning Whitlock gets pinged, gets pre-fired. Mikey refrags another player else. Well, doesn't refrag. Yeah. He gets another kill elsewhere to try and trade it out.
Then he killed Marm while he was.
Then
blinded.
He kills Marm while blind.
Well, don't. The only 2 kills. I guess if we've learned anything so far, if LiViD play Bakery, just don't take a gunfight with Mikey. Just try and work around him.
So yeah, to read it down. Whitlock unfortunately doesn't notice he gets pinged. Playing Vigil gets pre-fired. That starts the round off. There was a refrag or at least trade by Mikey, another player on Sykes. That's a 44 execute. And again, they go for that same Bakery execute, Bakery take to start the execute off. Unfortunately, Xeno gets aggressive. He tries to peek out, get aggressive on Marmalade, who is opening the wall. It makes sense though, because they're opening up the small prep or the small prep wall, and really you can't play there anymore if that once that wall's open. So he's trying to get aggressive. He's getting a kill before he has to retreat. Unfortunately, a bit too aggressive. Marm gets that kill. And then elsewhere though, I believe their other players were playing that small Bakery side. I believe it was Lackey, and they were just denying any other rotates from the other defenders, leaving it all really to Mikey at that point, who does get a kill on Marm pushing up Bakery, but unfortunately he pushes back into sight on White. You have to get, pre-fired by Exod at that point. So, 1 HP, you've got people on the left, people on the right, all encompassing you, not much you can do there. So we go on to the 4th round, our 5th round here, back upstairs for LiViD. That was Nocturne's first attacking win, actually, too.
Was their first attacking win, but also for the second attempt of LiViD on Cocktail, Benny, they've changed up the strategy completely. No, we don't see a Warden holding inside of the cigar closet. We don't see anybody extended that far up at all, really. Maybe somebody Pixel, but instead, Xeno's rotated to the Echo. I believe Indy is also rotating out on the Goyo. I don't recall if he had it previously, but that Echo is a new operator that was not in LiViD's defensive lineup previously, and one that could be very impactful if Nocturnes are slow on the attack once again, and those Yokais are unspotted by Nocturnes if they continue to push on in. Of course, in the previous attack, they started on that western side of the map, going on those repels, but now with the change up in strategy, it looks like they might be instead going for a cocktail take. Lackey and Marmalade both on that side. Ico on the Buck as well usually indicates that they're going to rotate into reading, open up the floor beneath Cocktail, and then start peering into the site. They haven't done it yet, but I would imagine, especially with Ico's presence on the second floor, that is the game plan for Nocturnes right now.
Well, if they're going for that vertical play, though, this could be a chance to deal with maybe the Echo from below. Hard to say. Xeno is playing that Echo, and we'll see what happens here. And whether or not LiViD tries to interfere with this vertical play in general. Are they going to send people down here to try and push them off? C4 thrown out of that window. Will not get Lackey. Sykes takes a bit of damage elsewhere, but Samar, it looks like they are aware maybe of Nocturne's plans, and the question is, what is LiViD going to do? It looks like for the moment you're just trying to evade the Buck by jumping on top. Pre-fires come out. Fico takes most of the damage on that engagement though. Sykes will stop Mikey from trying to interfere in general, so there goes the flank from LiViD. It's looking good for Nocturne. Never mind.
As unfortunate coming from Fico. Already opened up quite a bit of holes, but that was going to be your main player watching and denying the play on that Cocktail side. So if you want to make use of those holes, you'll have to rotate somebody down, but that's also increasingly becoming more of a daunting prospect. They spot Xeno below the new hatch. Can he get it? No. Exod shuts him down, but sure, you've lost your Echo and your Malusi, but taking down the Buck and the Hibana on a Cocktail attack, it's not a good or clean trade by the defense by any means, but in terms of utility, I think that might edge out in the favor of LiViD by just a little bit. Nocturnes does still have a fair bit of utility. Those EE1Ds have been massive for boosting their chances in the late round, and what a huge kill from Sykes. He's able to kill the player watching Cocktail Balk, repel on in, and grab a necessary component if Nocturnes want to make this round work. Whitlock and Indy, the only two left. The former's gone unread on New Balk. He manages to retake that position as well. LiViD is almost reversing Nocturnes, taking the very side they were attacking from, and it's Nocturnes with control inside the site. The final two entries spot a Yokai, information beaming their position to the rest of the defense, but now it's on Whitlock and Indy to communicate. They have some intel. They can land a pre-fire. No. They know Sykes is right there, but he gets the jump on him. Him and Lackey both. Whitlock and Indy might have had the intel, but excellent reaction by the two entries of Nocturnes to put the second round on the board for Nocturnes.
Oh, that was unfortunate. Whitlock just stopped the plant. That could have been a different story, but a bit too slow on the uptake of the intel, which makes sense. 2v2. It's hard to make decisions in those dying seconds. But we'll start from the beginning though. That was they're going for a cocktail take, and there was a pick back and forth between to make it a 4v4 in the beginning. But yeah, because Mikey goes for aggressive, they kill the deal with the the buck, stop them from creating that vertical pressure. And from there, though, this still was great. The grenade from the window, from that heaven window, was fantastic. They push and take control heaven and take control cocktail. Because last two players have been running around dealing damage elsewhere, being flanks, being mobile players. So the fact they take control cocktail, they have that base position to get that plant down, and are able to get down in time before getting stopped because they had the intel. They both Whitlock and they still had the Yokais available to know where these last two players were, but they still just a bit too slow in the uptake, unfortunately, which allowed them to get that plant down, take positions, reply in well time and deal with those last two players. So good job from side of Nocturnes. Once the last round of the half, you go back upstairs for another try from LiViD, trying for a third time and see if they can get this 4-2 half that they want.
And they're also re-employing that strategy we saw in their first defense of this site. Instead, they've gone off the Echo, back to that Warden, put Karn back on the castle, and this was the strategy that worked so well in that very first defense of Cocktail. However, while it was a good defense by LiViD, that went by and large uncountered by Nocturnes. The big part here really came down to a failed play from Nocturnes, mainly opening up that castle barricade that leads from Cigar into Christmas. If they clear that Aruna gate and open up that castle barricade, that round probably goes a lot differently, at least for the first 2/3, than how it actually went in practice, mainly because of that castle barricade persisting. It's the same setup, but if Nocturnes can counter Xeno a lot more effectively, successfully destroy that Aruna gate and castle barricade, I really do think this round will probably go a lot differently, barring any other potential unknown factors currently.
Definitely agree. Yeah, they spent so long trying to deal with Xeno, and like you said, the castle barrier is huge. It allowed for people in Christmas to play off because they opened up the wall between Red and Christmas. So Whitlock was playing pick so he could sit there even though the shield was destroyed. So here we go. Looks like he's trying to destroy this time. Will they be able to get it off? Looks like we'll finally destroy it. So Xeno now is in a precarious position. He's not in the cubby. He's playing that same bookcase he was before. So really, they need to either A, try and push him up with a grenade or a flash, or they just gotta triple swing him like they did last time.
But they do have him in a lot more difficult of a position to work out of, and that is at least the improvement we needed to see from Nocturnes. They could send a grenade on in. Syke still has 2. Same with FICO, so 4 total. Flashbangs in hand. They could be saving to clear any potential ADSs later on, but with their positioning and the utility they do have, there you go. They can easily deal with them and not have to incur the loss of one of their players like they did last time, clearing out Xeno. Excellent work, but the problem so far with Nocturnes attacking half is they've gotten the opening pick 5 rounds in a row. Whether it's immediately after or pretty soon after, it's always traded out by LiViD. They have this control. They can move into Christmas. They can move into Cigar, but it's also been the transition into that execute, one that retains the man advantage that has been so difficult for them. They're making it work now. Exot is spotted. Whitlock getting aggressive inside of Whitehall, but again, the transition is what's important. They have the man advantage, but can they retain it? The C4 that has just been expended is going to make it a lot easier for that to happen for Nocturnes.
The Pixel Shield's still there, but they dealt with the Pixel player, so they should be able to take until Christmas, push their way into Whitehall, and make this happen. As you know, they're up 2 men right now, 5-3 push right now. Mikey's taking heavy damage inside of Freezer. They're trying to, LiViD's trying to push back up because they need to get some man advantage. They need to fight back and gain some control in their favor, or at least make it even. As Mikey's looking around, trying to find a pick. He sees the head of one over by Newbout, but can't find the pick. Grenades, flashes coming through in a Freezer, dealing with him. Lackey kill Karn over by, I think that was over by Whitehall as well. And there goes Marmalade, great kill onto Mikey. It's up to Indy and 1v5. Has the pings, has the intel, but still a 1v5. And they know his exact position. A flash off Nocturnes to end a 3-3 half. And on Kafe, that's a pretty good advantage.
For how they started, how the first half of... I guess that half. Could have phrased that better. How those first 3 rounds went, it was looking a bit worrisome for Nocturne. Looking a bit worrisome. It was still, they were down 3-0 on a Kafe attack. It's not unheard of. It's not something you can't work back from. But I really do think that what we saw at the end there was just demonstrated not even necessarily a mindset shift. It was just all of their steps were actually being executed properly. And I think you can really point to the clearing of that castle barricade and taking out Xeno as what exemplifies that actually working. That first round where they attacked Cocktail basically completely collapsed because of how shoddy their clearing out of Xeno was. It led to a lot of factors later on, like Karn being able to exploit that chaos and get another kill. giving LiViD the man advantage. That go around, they clear out the castle barricade, the runic barricade, throw down a nade, get the kill, untraded by LiViD. They get that momentum, they end the round flawless. Keep in mind, I said that Nocturnes had got the opening pick 5 rounds in a row. That was technically inaccurate. They got the opening pick all 6 rounds so far, but as I said, it was always traded back out by LiViD. That's something that LiViD need to carry through onto their attack, because it's going to be a lot harder to get momentum here. It's going to be a lot harder to get that man advantage. But if it's either taken away from them, they need to trade it back out. Or if they retain it, they need to keep hold of it and prevent Nocturnes from doing to them what LiViD just showed Nocturnes that they're capable of.
Oh wait, now this is gonna come into question: is how well have LiViD drive on this map? And we talk about, talk about those slow pushes, those slow attacks from LiViD, and we need to see them push this quite differently, really, because that's what the Des has been prancing about the entire time, is these slow attacks, these boring attacks from LiViD that just don't seem no real life to them, where they're not really getting anything done. So we'll see how far we're back upstairs for our first defense from Nocturnes, and they're employing a very similar strat. They got those Casperas, they have someone playing that cubby, that cigar area, waiting with a shotgun, and we need to see if LiViD can pull off what we saw from Nocturnes. That improvement, like you said, that improvement of getting open that castle barricade, dealing with the amount of burn inside of Christmas to stop that castle barricade from being destroyed, and dealing with the player in cigar. Can they do this? Fico's playing below with a C4, I'm assuming, because I've seen before where teams will do this, will open the castle barricade, they'll C4 people inside of cigar, but so far, let's see, looks like Karn's maybe using, oh yeah, he's going to use the X-Kairos to deal with it, because the X-Kairos won't be stopped by ADS.
But unfortunately, there's the problem right there. The Jaeger just simply peeks out, shoots the 2 X-Kairos off of the castle barricade. Fico equally just runs out and shoots the Hibana. That's sort of the issue with that strategy. They might not get caught by the ADSs, but if you don't have anybody on those cigar rappels actively watching that bathroom hole, they could just peek out, shoot the X-Kairos, and since Karn was taken off guard, Fico has that moment to run out, take down their hard breacher. He already expended the majority of his X-Kairos, but now with Indy gone as well, that line, we saw how impactful the E1Ds were for Nocturnes when they made their executes, or tried to implement them. Now with that off the board, LiViD in the 3v5, that tool that always made it a lot more competitive for Nocturnes is completely gone. Mikey will have to try and clear out Fico down below only off of whatever intel they have, or they can still actively gain, but not much beyond that since they're in a 5v3, and that powerful tool to roam clear is completely gone.
Also, Karn had the diffuser, he dropped outside.
That is true. I actually forgot to mention that. That is a problem.
That is actually really big. So there's 2 people trying to clear out Fico. Yeah, Mikey and Zeno working together. Zeno pushing through 90, unaware of presence of where Fico is, but still waiting for that cutoff. Mikey's there. Oh, pre-fires.
Oh my.
Oh no, the pre-fire.
That's the most unlucky thing
Pre-fires
I have ever
Fico,
seen.
kills Mikey. Oh my god. Up waits there. Zeno goes, but his position has been loudly announced to the defense with that that proximity alarm. So he's gonna walk up. One player in freezer knows his position. Another player over in the back of the cocktail bars. Whitlock gonna kill on Sykes though, trying to bring it back. Okay. And slowly but surely they're trying to find these kills, trying to find weak points in this defense. And they've got to pick here and there, but do they know the position of the person inside of cocktail? And yes they do. Zeno, the great shot of the marmalade. Freezer player of Exile though will get that refrag. It's all up to Zeno, but unfortunately Exile's ready and waiting in freezer. And first win for Nocturnes defense. They put themselves in the lead 4-3.
Hey, you got to give that to LiViD though. They cleared out Fico, and then Zeno and Whitlock alone made that a 1v1 by the end. That
Mikey was alive.
Yeah, that if Mikey was alive, that round probably could have gone to LiViD, but that is still a commendable feat by LiViD, because Zeno and Whitlock, they had to make a play. They were by themselves on opposite sides of the 3rd floor. That is a borderline unwinnable position, probably unwinnable in some aspects for many teams. But in that 2v4, Whitlock's able to get that first kill. Okay, then Zeno finds the second. Once you're in that 2v2, despite the fact that Nocturnes are still playing relatively close
Rooney was
by.
down too, actually.
That's true. She was down. Was that early
they
on,
kill
though?
Exod.
No, yeah, they just had to kill Exod, but that's the round that matters most, because I believe it was Lackey, I think, swung, got down, but then Exod traded him out. That was the round that was most important. And then Zeno's got to take that fight. It's about a 50-50 engagement. He ends up losing it. But still, overall, even though LiViD lost the round, and there were a lot of missteps early on, got to hand it to Zeno and Whitlock for making it as close as they did. But overall, it really started to crumble at the beginning, when they tried to clear out that Christmas castle barricade that led into Cigar. Failed. Karn got taken down, dropped the diffuser, hard breaching gone. Indy's, utility to roam cleared, nullified too. It was always going to be difficult after that to make it work. That's why I put so much emphasis on praising Xeno and Whitlock for bringing back what was pretty much unwinnable at about a minute 30.
Yeah, losing your Heartbreacher early, losing another player on top of that too, early in the round. That's just mentally, that's just gotta hurt though. That's like 30 seconds, barely 30 seconds of the round. And everyone, you got to lose 2 players early. So let's see how we go into going downstairs to our kitchen defense for Nocturne, their first kitchen defense. And so far from the lineup, it's the same exact lineup. You see that Mozzie Mute Vigil we saw from a lot of teams these days in Kafe. They could be roaming on the top floor. We saw Nocturnes, they had some decent success dealing with these roam games. They're able to cut off these players, but Law can't seem to open a hatch. Oh, unfortunate, but still. Can LiViD do the same here? Can they still cut off these defenders and get these kills they need to put them in the advantage going into that late game? And like execute. As you see, it looks like there's nobody actually. There's one player in Pixel, one player in same exact situations we saw from LiViD. I'm assuming though Nocturnes isn't going to stay long for long though.
You know, they'll pretty quickly rotate off. They did have White Window Castle barricaded, so he could have stayed there a bit longer, but that is a ballsy peek by Sykes, but honestly, good for him managing to come away with that. Not only does he take down Mikey, putting themselves in the man advantage, he was already rotating back. He's just now fulfilling on what he was already going to do, but in a lot better position than I think anybody could have predicted so far. So for Nocturne, starting that out with the hatch open as well, Lackey and the rest can now sit a little bit easier on this second floor, knowing that LiViD are down one of their entries, who has actually been performing quite well for LiViD so far in this game, even though a lot of his kills did come later on in the round and on the defensive side. Mikey still has always had that potential, especially later on in the season as he's developed, to make those entries work. But now it's on players like Whitlock and Xeno, who don't move as quick as Mikey sometimes, to try to make this work, now with one less player to support them.
Well, when D1 comes out and they see one player in there, but do they know there's 2 in there? It looks like those players are dropping down. Those players from Nocturnes are backing off the site because they've gotten the kills. They've wasted time they needed to. There's no reason to play aggressive anymore. They just need to wait for LiViD to make their play, to make their push into site. And the question is, well, what utility does LiViD still have to make this push work out? They're going to start opening up this floor, but only like 50 seconds left to go. There's not a lot of time to create this vertical play and try to find picks. They have to, at the same time, in tandem, start taking control of Bakery, take control or Freezer Hatch maybe, and start pushing through into site. Because otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a rush that ain't going to work out in the end.
That is sort of the issue right now. They're getting all this control. That's all well and good, but the transition is looking extremely difficult with every single second that passes. They get a little bit of damage onto somebody down below, but they just have to drop down Freezer Hatch. That's their only option right now. There's one still playing Christmas. He manages to get a kill despite being blinded. Indy will trade him out, but a trade still means that Nocturnes have that man advantage, and that player playing inside of VIP is still alive. Whitlock will manage to cut him down from that spot, but with 10 seconds left, Yokai's and a C4 still on the board. It's going to be incredibly difficult for LiViD to get this bomb down.
What?
He's in an opposition. No, they don't know. No, the Yokai's right there to stop him. Can they get the second stun? No, they cannot. Karn is the only one left, but it's still Nocturnes with the final 3 kills and all the utility. A good fake out by LiViD. Almost got them the round, but the Yokai was still in a position to watch, and it saw and gave Nocturnes that round.
Yeah, the Yokai pushing up with the shotgun, not having the correct coverage because of the man advantage. It's unfortunate. Yeah, LiViD did not have quite the place that, the pieces in place to make that play happen. It's because they lost that opening pick. They had a lot of time taken away because Nocturnes did what they needed to. Get that first pick, back off, lose nobody in the roam, waste 2 minutes of the time, and LiViD at that point have to make the play. They have to rush and take vertical play, try and push members of the defense back, and they didn't do quite that job, unfortunately, because they had the time or the utility needed to do that. So they push into the execute, jump down the hatch, go for a play behind a shield, but the Yokais are big. They hadn't really accounted for the Echo. I don't know if they even knew the Echo was on the board, so that Yokai stops the plant. C4 and other players fight back, stop Planter, or at least get rid of the Planter's coverage. And at that point, Karn's by himself trying to plant behind a shield, and the shotgun's coming out of his face.
I believe it was Exod who got the kills onto both of the players covering Karn, so if it was one guy, good job to that guy, but honestly, just good job to Nocturnes as a whole. The first 2 rounds went about as perfectly as you could ask for. Yeah, maybe there were some missteps, some lost teammates in the execute, but that was about as good as you could expect given any particular siege round. They've won 2 rounds in a row on the defense. Now heading to Reading Room for their first attempt at this site. Clearing out the roam won't be as difficult as, say, a site like Kitchen. It's not nearly as extensive, but on the opposite side, there's not nearly as many cutoffs as you have, because instead of the site being 2 floors down, it's directly below Cocktail, where Nocturnes are opting to extend. They can just drop down 1 hatch, run down 1 staircase, and they're all the way down. And that was sort of the issue from LiViD. You had that white window castle barricaded, but nobody made any attempt to go over and even play on that side. They were solely focusing on pushing them and directly clearing them out, that it gave Nocturnes full opportunity to rotate back pretty much unimpeded. It needs to not be a similar case here. There are a lot more direct avenues to enter from or watch, specifically pushing down the players on Cocktail, but with Lackey getting incredibly aggressive, they might actually find a kill with no cost incurred, but no, he's still getting aggressive. E1D will force him to remain in the spot. Do they know that he's dropped? They might not know. This could be the play of the round. No, he'll pre-fire, tease us just a little bit, then rotate back off. Content just to scare LiViD.
That was funny. Oh, but he's dead, actually.
Oh, well, never mind.
Xeno with the cutoff. Wait, where is Xeno? Is he top of white stair? Oh, no, he was on the window. He was on the fireplace window to get that refrag, which I guess worked out in the end. That was kind of weird how he got that refrag from someone on site. But yeah, we saw from the side of Nocturnes when they attacked this site, they kind of tried to evade this row and push straight onto fireplace. But it looks like LiViD are going straight for it. They've opened a hole into Christmas, but only a small one. And there's the coverage from Whitestairs window from Xeno, who's been playing outside, getting 2 picks now on these windows. Great job from him. Mikey's going to push in and take control of Christmas for his team. And really, so far, the roam's going pretty good for LiViD. They can clear out the rest of this roam clear, but C4 from below from FICO will make it difficult to lose that hard breach or 2. Could prove a big detriment for LiViD's execute later on.
It is problematic, but honestly more so if Karn still had flashes, that might be more of an issue because they've already cleared out this top floor. They've taken down Sykes and Lackey, pushed them down. If Karn's hard breaching was going to be valuable, it was going to be clearing out these players up top. Now that they're gone, hard breaching isn't really all that much of a factor on taking down on second floor reading room and fireplace. You don't need it as much. What is important is Whitlock on this sledge. He's recovered the diffuser, and now that Xeno's got 3 kills, taking down Marmalade, making it a 2v4 on site. With the soft destruction they have, the angle's up above, and the man advantage, they can make this work easily. But there's FICO and Exod to rear their heads. And it's a 2v2 now. Willock might have diffuser, but the manpower that LiViD had is slipping by the second. Mikey manages to find one. He almost flicks to the second, but FICO cuts him down. A great 2v4 by Nocturnes puts them on match point. And that was the round. That was the round for LiViD. It was the first time.
That should have been it.
Xeno
had a 3K.
Benny, they won the opening duel, got a second kill after that, got a third after losing an operator that didn't matter all that much to their remaining execute, and then they lost it. They lost it.
That was crazy.
That was it.
That was crazy. Like, they had the Xeno playing. Like, they pushed back the Jaeger. I forget who it was. I think the Jaeger was
Whitlock.
Whitlock gets Whitlock, not the Jaeger.
Oh yeah, sorry. Whitlock was playing Jaeger on LiViD.
Was it Sykes? I think it was.
It was Lackey. It was Lackey.
Oh no, Lackey. So Lackey gets pushed back to
Sykes
site.
was alibi.
Yeah. We thought Lackey's here because Lackey's like he jumps out back down from Cigar. He pushes back to site. We're like, all right, he's good. But Xeno's there on this fireplace window, gets that kill somehow, and then on top of that, it's second kill as well to put them lead from Whitestairs window. He had both windows covered for his
You're
team.
singing.
He
You're
cut
singing
off
at that point
2
for
other
LiViD.
players, and he walks at Whitestairs. It's a third. And he gave full control to LiViD for that top floor, and from there chaos just ensues. Like Marmalade, it was Marmalade playing Train, or maybe I'm wrong.
No, it was FICO. FICO was playing mining. Exod was, I think, Closet.
He was playing Closet and playing downstairs and Train. He gets that pick onto the players pushing into reading, which I don't know why. Maybe they were waiting for some kind of cue, but they're waiting outside that reading door. They don't push in, allowing for members of Nocturnes, the last 2 members, to take fights 1v1s left and right. The one player peeks towards Train or mining, gets picked off. Whitlock walks into reading with nobody next to him, gets picked off. It's just one after another.
It's sort of the issue because it was a oversight by LiViD combined with massive individual play from Nocturnes. Nobody was watching mining, as you saw. When they hopped down, when I was talking, I was like, they have the vertical holes. They're able to rotate down. They have everything they need. But the one thing that they lack that I neglected to mention and didn't realize until it was already happening, nobody, not a soul on LiViD, appeared to be watching mining. FICO got that first kill. It's a 3v2. You can still make that work, but the time is running out. In the chaos, when Exod gets that second kill, that is the moment that it turned for Nocturnes. When he got that second kill, because it might have been even, but they were in 2 completely different positions, and both members of LiViD were directly in a crossfire. Not a direct one. It's not like they were both looking at them. But positioning-wise, if there were no walls there, they were directly in the middle of the remaining 2 members of Nocturnes. Great play by Lackey and Exod to win out that round and now send them to match point. 3 defenses in a row. And Benny, this is why I'm worried. Because LiViD, as you said, Xeno got 3 kills to start out, but they got the opening pick, and it wasn't traded. No kill of theirs was traded until the 3rd kill from Xeno. Put in the 2v4.
It's
If
crazy
LiViD-
because that, like we've talked about how like LiViD had like poor early game in previous maps, and
Now,
they've had
they had
better
it that
early
round.
game this game, but then their executes are just not happening.
Well, I think the early round has been not great in the previous 2, but that one was really good, even though it came from Xeno entirely. But it still was enough.
I say early game. Maybe
them
it's
to
just because Xeno went off individually.
Nah, that's
Oh.
true. That's a fair point.
Did they not
That's,
get the Rooney gate?
I
No, they didn't.
All right, maybe this is me being dumb, but I don't know why. I mean, Karn's right there. He has flashes. You can just do it there. But anyway,
No, don't ask me. Don't ask. I don't know what's going on. But either way, so again, the first part is again going to be dealing with the person inside of Cigar. It's going to be opening up the castle barricade, kill Sykes, which they
we go.
did perfectly. Great job.
that was actually, I believe we can say that is the best clear of that Cigar Cubby this entire match,
I don't know
because
how they
you.
killed him even.
I think they just opened the door and shot him. Or maybe he rotated out, got spotted. The hatch isn't open, so it's not like he rotated down vertically. But of all the clears so far, they've usually had to still fight a little bit to get that guy. No, that was immediate the moment they opened up that castle barricade. So despite how much we were ragging on LiViD, that was the best clear of Cigar Cubby we have seen so far, and it gives them ample time to move on into the site, to get that intel, to clear out Pixel, to move up Whitehall, pressure these people on Cocktail. With minute 20 left, you can do quite a lot on this attack with 5 members on the board.
Well, you say that, but they still got to deal with these players who are in trans positions. And Fico
is true.
C4 from below. Fico have gotten C4 kills from below quite often. He's waiting for another Q to get that kill to even up the man count. And so, well, let's see if LiViD is aware of his presence below, if they can try to deal with him, or are they going to just kind of rush away from him. Hard to say. E1D comes out. Nobody's working off his E1D either. So at this point, LiViD just kind of sitting in Cigar.
I am a little bit worried about that stalling out right now. They have Intel and Exod playing inside of Freezer, but you're right. I mean, stalling out is the perfect word for it. Both of the site walls, well, I guess both the ones in Freezer, all 4 panels, are still electrified. Nobody's breaking them down. Nobody's pushed up Whitehall or pushed in a bathroom. Exod, he might be facing some E1Ds and some Intel pings in his position, but nobody is directly pressuring him. I say that. Mikey's now pushing directly up, going for a bit more directive route than I imagined. He whiffs a lot of the shots, but it's actually Xeno to pick that one up. Same gun, different player, but right now it's looking like LiViD will stave off the feed for just one more round. Ico down below, his C4 went wide. 4 members of LiViD are on reduced HP, but now they know exactly where FICO's pushing from. A flawless round after the timeout. They still have 2 rounds to win, but if LiViD can keep putting up rounds like that, we'll be in overtime in no time.
Overtime in no time. Oh my god, we
I
could
thought that was clever.
But yeah, I would agree that
Proud of
that early round was crazy though. They killed them Sykes immediately after opening up the castle barricade, and that was probably the best we've seen teams deal with that setup, really. So I guess props to LiViD for that. And then after that, they kind of stalled for a minute there. That was the scary part. They sat in Cigar for a good minute or so. I guess they were just droning out, taking the time, trying to figure out things before they make the push, which could be a good thing because they're not rushing for the execute, not rushing into maybe what was a trap from Nocturnes. So they take the time, they figure things out, they push past the player in Freezer, allowing them to push into Bar, allowing them to give them that control and disrupt what Nocturnes had in play. And on top of it, they had players ready for the flank too. People pushing from Whitehall and trying to get the flank later off. They had people ready. I think Indy was the player on that flank watch, gets the kill onto one of the players from Nocturnes. And so I would say, even though LiViD did stall, it looks like in the end they had the places in peace. They had the idea they needed to. They had the goal in mind, which was good.
And that's what LiViD seemed to lack for a long time in Stage 1 and Stage 2, and why everyone was so excited to see Mikey joining in Stage 3, at least just in isolation. Just seeing Mikey as a player, he is that kind of player who will just make that play. Push on in, try to get a frag. That was basically him on all of Lenny GG's Stage 2. He would just walk into sight and just, bam, 2 people are dead. How did he get it? Mikey doesn't even know. He was that player who could make that work, and that's what we saw that round. He might have got the kill. He, be honest, was a sketchy gunfight between him and Exod. But he still was the one trying to open things up that led the charge for his team. And for Kitchen as well, that was what they struggled with. LiViD were forced to drop Freezer after spending so much time clearing out the roam early on that they just need a player to charge in to try to clear out that utility. And thankfully for them, there's no yokai this time. LiViD faked out the plant. Nocturnes thought they were planting behind the bomb chassis like most teams do, but instead they rotated and planted in bunker. That is important. While the Yokais were able to stop them, and that operator is no longer present here. So LiViD, if they're able to continue owning the early round, and Mikey's able to make the play in the late round to lead the charge, I really do think LiViD have a good chance of winning this. But there he goes.
So, hey, that was a redo of last time. Just losing Mikey early in the round. The same thing happened last kitchen defense. And they can just walk
That's
away now.
unfortunate. That is.
It is. This is a redo. Deja vu.
I really settled that up, didn't I?
Yeah, you really cursed
And
them,
it just didn't happen. It's just not going to happen.
Well,
That's,
now, so again,
okay.
losing Mikey early. The question is, can LiViD get that refrag? You talked about before, early picks and getting refrags are very important. Getting those trades, try and make it not so difficult for them. It's difficult. Well, it needs to be done here. Lackey will see, the Yana Gemini Replicator come up and see him on white stairs. So back of mode. ED1 comes out. Can they play office and find any players downstairs? Nobody's there to look so far. They have taken control of third floor, but that's merely a start, merely a piece of the pie. And looks like, Karn's trying to push in the fireplace by himself. He doesn't have anybody near him, and there's a shield to play with Lackey. Lackey at that point, he's gonna walk away. Not gonna take that fight.
That was the type of gunfight right there where if Karn loses that, if he gets shot through the wall, that's the game at that point. That is the ball game. Thankfully, he's rotated back down, but this is still another issue that is indicative of LiViD's chances. Not even Whitlock dying. I wasn't even gonna mention that, but actually, that was your sledge. I was going to say you still have time to open up these holes, but it's completely falling apart. A 5v2 with Indy gone as well. All that's left is Karn and Xeno. The E1Ds that you can use to flood the site late round to make it a lot easier to clear out those defenders on the site, gone. Still a player upstairs that Xeno doesn't even look like he knows about. He's got to rotate in. No intel at his disposal. He'll toss in a frag. It lands at the feet of Exile, but he backs up, almost able to land the shots and puts him to 1 HP. You can just toy with your food at this point. Karn, he even rotates back in. Exile is playing his life at this point, but it doesn't matter. It's a 5v2. He can get that kill. It doesn't matter. Xeno will manage to find one, but on 1 HP, that's likely the only kill he's going to get. The Fuser recovered. 20 seconds left. A 1v4 to try and put LiViD 1 round closer to overtime. It seems like a fleeting dream, something that can't happen, but Xeno will try his damnedest to make it work. 10 seconds left. He rotates in. FICO shuts it down. It's all over. Nocturnes win the game 7-4 and continue LiViD's losing streak in CL.
Unfortunate for Nocturnes, but really, or not Nocturnes, for LiViD. Really big thing you tell there was the fact that LiViD in that round had no intel at that point. After losing Mikey, and you can tell from the way that how many drones they had left, they had like 2 drones available, 3 in pocket at that point.